Hello, this is Steven Seifert. This is QDF 6, and we are doing Introduction to Fingerpicking. And this is for level 3 players. And usually an introduction class, you'd think of it as a beginner class, but this is for intermediates who want to learn more about fingerpicking. Maybe you don't do a lot of fingerpicking. That's why it's an introduction. But different than if I was teaching this to beginners, you know? So,
Well, I'm terrible at fingerprinting, and I've
but
tried for several years.
that's wonderful. that's kind of what I was hoping for. Is that you guys, most of you, have done very little of it, or you want to see what my approach is, something like that. But since you're intermediates, you'll know what a half note is, maybe not necessarily, but you might know what a quarter note is. Whereas a beginner, more likely not going to know that kind of thing. I'm going to read the description here. This kind of finger picking involves using 3 fingertips on your right hand to play slow harp-like sounds, generally picking 1 string at a time. Rather than give you complex arrangements, because you guys are intermediate, you can probably read some things. I'm going to give you simple melodies and show you how to add your own filler picking and basic chording. Finger picking doesn't have to be hard. And I think that's an important part of this thing here. I want to finger pick for you a little bit, and you guys just kind of see what you got there. Can you hear that okay? That kind of stuff. That's what I think of as finger picking. And the basics of it, I'm using on my right hand. I'm using these 3 fingers for these 3 strings. So I've got my middle finger is plucking the bass string coming towards me. My index finger is the middle string coming towards me. The melody string is my thumb going away from me. And all 3 of these are hanging out here around the 14th fret, roughly. So I'm not in the strum hollow. I'm a little bit to the left of the strum hollow. I like the tone there. It's nice and warm sounding. But also I like the feel there. The strings give more here. And over here, they're more rigid. When I'm using my fingertips, I kind of like that the strings give a little more as you get farther away from the bridge. There's different ways to pluck these strings. I'm doing middle towards me on the bass, index towards me on the middle string, thumb away from me on the melody string. That's just one approach. Some people do this. They put their thumb alongside the fingerboard, and then their ring middle index does bass middle melody. So that's another approach. I don't use that, but it's not a bad idea, really. I just always got used to this thumb version. And if you play other instruments like a ukulele or a guitar or something, you might appreciate learning to use the thumb in this way. So when you jump to those instruments, you can kind of use all the same tricks, even though you got different chords and stuff like that. David Schnaufer is my dulcimer mentor. He used to teach people when someone would come to him and say, I want to learn finger picking. He would show them the basics of it. And then he'd say, your homework for this week is to go home and just write a little ditty. No matter how simple, no matter how short, do something where you're plucking with these fingers, and it can be as simple as you want or as fancy as you want. And then they would always go, "What? What do you mean? How am I supposed to come up with something?" Now, the stuff they would come back with would be something maybe like this. You know, just something like that. Why did he ask him to just write a little thing, just make up a little something? I think part of it is to get away from the stress of a complicated piece of sheet music, something that's hard to read, hard to interpret, hard to memorize. And I also think he wanted to get him away from any specific melody. You know, there's nothing you have to do. You can just come up with something. David liked to he wrote a lot of music, and he would imagine it going along with a movie or something. So, homework number 1 for you guys is take the basic idea of this right here, and even if you don't know what you're doing, come up with a little something, and then do that little something again, and do that little something again, and just spend some time finger picking without worrying about a song or an arrangement. Part 2 of this, I want to just give you a couple little ideas you might have fun with. So check this out. I think these sound really pretty, and it's just an idea. Let me get this up where I can show it to you. It's kind of like a little improvisational game. Watch this. Oh, I bet I can do that a different way. I've got a little thing I'm going to move around. And what it is whatever I do on the bass, I'm also going to do on the middle. That's what that's showing you. And then the melody string will stay open. So right now I'm holding a 1 on the bass, a 1 on the middle. My melody string is open. And then just randomly kind of pick the strings like this, like it's chimes blowing in the wind. Next, I might move those to the right. So instead of 1 on the bass and 1 on the middle, now I have a 2 on the bass and a 2 on the middle. Chimes. Melody string is open. So whatever I do on the bass, I'll do on the middle. Listen to this. Here's 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s. Some of the most fun you can have finger picking is picking a shape on 2 or 3 strings and just moving that thing around. Your right hand's doing all the same kind of stuff. No pattern. Just listen to what I'm actually plucking. Bass, melody, melody, middle, middle. Bass, 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 melody, middle, middle, bass. I'm not following a pattern, okay? So leave your melody string open and let's fret 1s on the bass and middle. 3s, 4s, 1s, 5. Back down to 1s. Notice how I'm just doing it like chimes blowing in the wind, and then I just stop and let it ring. Why don't you do that as I play over it? So you're going to do some 1s for me. Do that right now. Now give me some 3s. Some 4s. And then go back down to those 1s. 3s. Open, all open. Fives. Back down to ones. I think it's important. This is my perspective, my approach to playing music. Before you start loading yourself down with a bunch of stuff to make you feel bad about yourself, just that's just the way I look at it. Just try to make up stuff that sounds pretty. And I love this particular one of moving things around like that. I could give you 5 more, but let me give you 1 more. Let's look at a common chord shape you guys play a lot, an L shape. And an L shape looks like this. I'm going to start on the bass with a 2, and then I'll do a 2 on the middle, and then I'll do a 4 on the melody string. 2 on the bass, 2 on the middle, 4 on the melody. That's an L shape. 2, 2, 4. So when I call out these chords, the first number out of my mouth is going to be the bass string. So play a 2, 2, 4 and just finger pick it a little bit. Then slide that shape to the left to a 1, 1, 3. Back to the 2, 2, 4. 3, 3, 5. 5, 5, 7. Let's go back to where I was playing melody and you're just moving these L chords around now. Let me hear a 5, 5, 7. 2, 2, 4. 1, 1, 3. 2, 2, 4. 3, 3, 5. 4, 4, 6 and a half. 0, 0, 2. 1, 1, 3. 2, 2, 4. 3, 3, 5. 4, 4, 6 and a half. 5, 5, 7. Yeah. So, if you don't get anything else out of this class, I at least want you to remember, take a shape, move it around, make little random non-pattern things happen with your right hand. Kind of sounds like chimes in the wind. That's one thing you might fall in love with, which will give you the interest to work through some of the harder stuff. So before we go on, do you have any questions, comments about that?
Now 557 on your chart looks like a B minor, but it sounds like a major.
I beg to differ.
It sounds like it's a minor.
Yeah, so your B to your F sharp is an open fifth, and then you've got a D in there. That's your minor third. Yeah, I always think about, does it sound like Russians could sing along with it? That's
You sold me. You sold me.
But I'll tell you, I took a class once where we were trained with our ears. Is it major or minor? And when we all first started, I usually got a 50% on the test. It's like some of them I got right and some of them I got wrong. It's not exactly, when you first start listening, it's not black and white. And probably the fact that it's up higher is why you maybe thought it sounded different. Something else about just moving shapes around, plucking with the right hand. Questions about the mechanics of that? I'll tell you one thing people often say. They'll say, well, you're getting a lot of volume, and I'm not hardly getting any volume. So the people that don't get any volume, their fingers are real loose and relaxed. And it's kind of like dragging. It's kind of like if I said, hey, let's use some of your hair as a guitar pick. It's not going to work. Your hair's not stiff enough. You know, it's all soft. You can't have your fingers be all relaxed. So I stiffen the fingers just a little bit so that when I go to pluck, I've actually got something to pluck with. A good exercise is to stiffen those fingers you're plucking with and see how loud you can get. When you get too loud, it'll do this. It's just nasty, out of tune, buzzy, slappy. Excuse me. I need one of those sneeze buttons. Let me check my tuning here.
Steve, I have a question about right hand, of how the right hand compares on the dulcimer with what you do with a classical guitar. What's similar, what's different?
I don't know much about classical guitar, so I could get into the minutia of a clean picking sound and stuff like that, but I might want to hold off on that since we're at the introduction level. One thing I do think about is I've seen people on guitar, they'll post, they might take this pinky or these two fingers. I don't know much about that, but they'll stabilize the hand by putting a finger somewhere on the instrument. I like to keep my hand kind of free, but I am getting a little stability right here where my forearm's touching the instrument. I don't lean on that. I'm actually just touching it. I try to keep my shoulder relaxed, and I just like feeling that. And it gives me a point of reference, but I'm not planted there. So,
Thanks.
I've never had a classical guitar lesson, so I didn't play guitar really till COVID. Because everybody, when they'd hear me play dulcimer, and sometimes somebody says, you might as well play guitar. So I thought, well, fine then, I'll get some. I love it when somebody, dares me. I wouldn't jump off a bridge, though. I wouldn't do bungee jumping for anything. I think that's a bad idea. All right, back to finger picking.
Thanks.
I will tell you this. Watch his thumb. See that? It's sitting right on the string. That's a lot of people think that's kind of how you begin. You're going to touch the string, you're ready to go, and when you pluck it, you do this. And then to get ready to go again, you sit on there and you wait for the next one. The problem is when you sit on there and wait for the next one, it kills the note. So you got to learn to pluck it and then sit at a distance, ready to go at a distance. And when you pluck, you move hard and fast, come back at a distance. This is hard, actually. See if you can do that. I actually want to touch that string as little as possible. Let's try that on all three strings. We'll do melody, middle, bass, and then let it ring. Melody, middle, bass. Again. Melody, middle, bass. Again. Melody, middle, bass. So that thing where you sit on the strings always in preparation to pluck it, that can just kill the notes a lot. It can be a very choppy thing. I do it on purpose, though. Watch this. Watch my right hand, the plucking hand. I might do that on purpose, to make it staccato or whatever. But I want you to think about clean picking with the right hand. Leave the strings ringing as much as possible. A lot of advanced finger pickers haven't figured that out yet. All right. So when I had you do the finger picking previously, I just said just do chime sounding things. It doesn't have to fit any rhythm. But we are going to want to move into doing things that are rhythmic. So let's look at Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Where are you, little star? Here it is. I want to make that a little smaller for me. Look at that. It's good for us to work with a tune you don't have to think about too much. So part of what I told you in the description is instead of giving you a fancy arrangement, I just want to give you a simple melody and chords, and you generate the finger picky sound, okay? So the first step is let's just play the melody. Notice half notes are circled in the tablature. So in the second measure, the 4 is circled. And that just is to remind you that's a long half note. We're going to play about this speed. 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Let's do that from the beginning. Nice clean picking. 1 and 2, 3 and really slow. Oh, and 4, 4 and 5, 5, 4, 3, 3 and 2, 2 and 1, 1. Oh, second line, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Hold it. Measure 7, 4, 4, 3, 3, and 2, 2, and 1. And now go to the first line again. Actually, if you're looking at the computer screen, you can just go to the first line, even though the page has 3, because the first and third lines are the same. First line again. Oh, and 4, 4 and 5 and 5 and 4. 3, 3 and 2, 2 and 1 and 1 and oh. Now there's some clean habits you're witnessing there. That clean plucking of the string where I don't begin by touching it, but I begin at a distance so the string can ring as much as I want it to. But another thing you're seeing is I'm trying to use groups of fingers in the left hand to cover groups of notes. So watch this. 4 with the index, and then 3, and then 2 with the ring. And then, and you can use any fingers you want. But the idea is hold the current note as long as possible. Have the other finger ready to take over so that right when you need it, the transfer happens. If you wait too long, it sounds like this. Check this out. You hear that? You want things to ring as long as you want them to. Don't unintentionally kill things by letting go of them early. Using multiple fingers allows you to hold on to the current note a little longer as you prepare to go to that next note. So we're going to do something here. Check this out. This is in 4/4. And we've got an and after every beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And what I want you to do is pluck the bass string on every one of those ands, and it's going to sound like this. Oh and 4 and 4 and 5 and 5 and 4 But let's not worry about these half notes. Let's not do any plucking after those. Just let it ring. That'll create a little space for us. The right hand pattern that you're going to need to do this is this right here. Every time you need a melody note on the melody string, your thumb will do it. And every time you got to hit the bass string on the and of the beat, your middle finger will do it. Count you in. 3 and ready, go. O and O. 4. 4 and 5 and 5. And then nothing after this, just let it ring. Next measure. 3 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 1 and open. And then nothing after that. So don't do anything after the circled notes. Ooh, I'm going to change it on you already. Instead of hitting the ands on the bass, let's put those ands on the middle string. I'm just going to put a little dot here, but that means an and. So this time it's going to sound like this. O, middle. O, middle. 4, middle. 4, middle. 5, middle. 5, middle. And then nothing after the half note. The right hand pattern for this one is going to be thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. Melody, middle, melody, middle. Let's try it out. 3 and ready, go. O, middle, O, middle. 4, middle, 4, middle. 5, middle. Nothing after this 4. And measure 3, 3, and 3, and 2. And 2 and 1 and 1 and then hit the open and then nothing after that one. Now I say nothing after it, but I want you to know that I'm often moving my upper body a little bit. So watch. And 4 and I'm still feeling that. I'm still moving to it. That helps me measure those spaces. All right, let's try this. This time, I'm going to leave it up to you. Sometimes on these ands, you can hit the bass. Sometimes on these ands, you can hit the middle. And you're welcome to improvisationally do one or the other. Whenever we get to these half notes, don't do anything after those. And then on the next measure, pick it up again. But I don't want you to do what I wrote down. I want you to do your way. I'm going to wing it right now. Listen to this. O, bass, O, middle, 4, middle, 4, middle, 5, bass, 5, middle, 4. I want you to improvise this. Not plan it, not memorize it, not read it. Here we go. 3 and ready, go. O, pluck, O, pluck. 4, pluck, 4, pluck, 5, pluck, 5. Nothing after the 4, 3, and ready. Next measure, 3, pluck, 3, pluck, 2. Sometimes hit the middle after, sometimes hit the 1. I'm sorry, sometimes hit the bass after. And next line. And measure 7. There you go. So the idea, this is just one trick so far. You've got a tune, and you're going to make it sound like finger picking without me writing in everything. And there's two things going on. You got a melody and you've got filler picking. That's the two things. We're not doing any chords yet. Melody and finger picking. Let me show you another trick. Sometimes in the music when you see this, 3 O's stacked. I call this a brush, and I usually come towards me. That's an arrow pointing towards me. I take the index finger and I go like this. It's not super fast like that. You hear each string. Bum, bum, bum. I stiffen that index finger and I just drag it through there. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Sometimes a little quicker, but it sometimes slower. Bum, bum, bum. What I want you guys to do is we're going to put a brush on the first note of every measure. And so on. It'll sound like this. Here's another brush. Measure 3 gets a brush. Let's just do that. And we'll leave out that filler picking for now. 3 and ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Measure 2, 1 and 2 and 3. Hold it. Now do a brush here. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Second line, brush the first. Even though I'm not playing the ands, I'm feeling them. Brush the 4 at the beginning of the next measure. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, good. Let's try a different pattern. This time, let's do brushes on these circled half notes. Whenever we get to these circled notes, let's put a brush on them. Everything else is picked. 3 and ready, go. Oh, oh, 4 and 5. Here comes your first brush. 3 and ready, next measure. Notice how I'm dancing to it, and then brush this open. And really, a nice thing to do is this. You just stick those wherever you like, whenever you feel like it. It's a way of accenting or emphasizing one of these notes. So here's a little formula so far for generating your own finger-picked arrangement. We have a simple melody. Your job is to play that nicely, cleanly, expressively. Every once in a while, you can put a brush somewhere, maybe every couple of measures, wherever you feel like it'll work. But don't overdo that, just every once in a while. And then we've got this filler picking I had you improvise earlier, where sometimes on the end of the beat you hit a bass or a middle. Listen to how all that sounds. Like that. 2 things I want you to think about. 1, don't put filler picking everywhere. It gets to be monotonous. Let the melody reign supreme. Occasionally do a brush coming towards you with your index. Sometimes add filler on the ands. Sometimes just leave it be. Now here's the second thing I need you to know about. Probably your brushes are too loud. So make your brushes softer. And probably your filler picking is too loud. I really want my listeners to hear a difference between how hard I pluck the melody and how hard I pluck the filler. So listen to the first measure. Loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. So really make sure that melody's louder and that filler is more quiet. When I teach this in class, I usually have to remind everybody 5 times, so it's hard to adopt this, but the filler should be quiet. Let's play this thing together. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And when in doubt, just play the melody. Every once in a while, do a brush On the ands, sometimes put an open bass or an open middle. Brush every once in a while. When in doubt, just play melody. Second line. I'm going to brush this. Doing it simply. I'm not adding anything right here. Brush the 4. Start adding stuff on the ands. Make sure the melody's louder and the filler is a little more quiet. Brush the 1. And then the first line again. This is the end. If this doesn't put you to sleep, nothing will. Hesitate and then brush the 0 at the end. Yeah. Now that's real basic and it might be putting you to sleep, but I could write all that in for you guys, you know? Here's a quick example. We're going to brush here and here, and I think I want to hear it here and here. Let's just do the first line. I want you to do filler picking here, here, here. How about here, but not there, not there. I'm going to bring back filler here and then get rid of it. So you got your 8th note pair, 8th note pair. And every time you play this, you do it exactly the same. And people fall asleep. If you could do this a little different every time, wouldn't be a bad idea. But let's go ahead and play what I just wrote there. 3 and ready, go. Let me get my thing back in line. What happened? Where did I go? All right, 3 and ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Next measure, 1 and 2, and brush, and measure 3. 1 and 2, and 3, and 4. Here's a brush. Hit the 1 by itself, and then another brush. But better yet, make this be king. Beautifully, cleanly played this melody. Every once in a while do a brush, and sometimes add filler on the ands. So you guys asked me a question about this. Yes, Peter.
Do you ever use a thumb pick for the melody?
Yeah, sometimes, but I just like you. I like to hear the fleshy pads of the finger on this. I'm not against thumb picks, and some people grow their fingernails out, and that has a cool sound. Like Les Gustafson Zook last night in the concert on the auto harp. He doesn't put finger picks on, I don't think. I think he just grows his fingers out, and he might even have acrylic nails put on. I'm not sure. But I like that sound. But if I want a clicky sound, I tend to use a pick and do the same thing. Right now I'm using a pick, which I like the sound of that. So when I go to finger picking, I want to hear the harp-like sound. I like that as a juxtaposition, I guess, but I don't have anything against thumb picks. Another thought here? Let's play this song, but much slower. No, I'm kidding. Jeez, oh Pete. It's like a sedative, isn't it? There's so much to show you today. Let's scroll a little bit here. Let's look at Sweet Hour Prayer. We'll just do a little bit of this. So this filler picking business, how do you know where that goes, you know? Let's see. I'm going to mark off quarter notes here. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Here's one way you could do it. You could say, I'm only playing quarter notes. I am not going to do eighth notes. I'm only doing quarter notes. And every measure in this 3/4 piece can either have a melody on one of those spots or a filler in one of those spots. So, 0, 2, fill. 3, 4, fill. 4, 5, fill. 6.5, 7, fill. 5, 4. That's one approach. Let's do that, where your melody's nice and clear, and then you're welcome to do filler picking on the bass or the middle string or even the melody. Try that out. See what you think of that. Every beat, you're either plucking the melody or adding an open fill note. And if you're holding a melody down and you go to do that as filler, you just hit it again, keep the note down. Let's try this. You're coming in on the third beat. 1, 2. Fill. 3, 4. Fill. 4, 5. Fill. 6.5, 7. Fill. 5, 4. Notice there's half notes up here. I know I didn't circle them like in the last one, but you've got a half note that begins each measure. Let's do that again. And this time, make your filler notes be different than what you just did. Go ahead, Scott.
If I don't have a 6.5, am I better off just skipping it? Because 6 sounds wrong.
Sometimes on the slow songs, I say skip it. But on a fast song, you can get that 9 on the middle as the same note.
Okay.
So watch. Something like that, you know. I played with it on a dulcimer. I was going through a divorce. You know, some people, when they go through a divorce, they'll like run their credit cards up real high or something crazy. They'll eat a lot. I got a dulcimer with no 6.5 fret, and I forced myself to play it all year. That's how I got through that. And my conclusion was, most of the time when a 6.5 is needed, you can get around it. And every once in a while, when you just absolutely must have it, then you just move. You just don't play that song. That's all. But you really can have a whole lifetime's full of fun without it. I do like it though. I also like indoor plumbing. This is the last story, and then we'll get back to it. I remember this old guy saying he remembers when they put, or a woman told me this, and maybe she's here. She remembered when they put in a barbecue outside and a toilet inside the house, right about the same time, and the dad said, I never thought I'd see the day when we'd be cooking in the yard and you know what'ing in the house. Thought that was funny. All right, back to this. Do it again. 1, 2. 0, 2, fill. 3, 4, fill. 4, 5, fill. 6.5, 7. Stop there. How about you do a brush on one of these? Let's do a brush right here. And let's do a brush here and right here. 1, 2, oh, brush, fill. 3, 4, fill. 4, brush, fill. 5, fill. 5. Do it again. 1, 2. Keep missing it. All right, so this is the quarter note level. You're either doing melody or filler, and add a brush now and then. And don't plan it, just do it when it feels good. Let's do this a different way. This time, instead of quarter notes, I want you to think eighth note pairs. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and let me show you this a different way. That's almost handy. 1 and 2 and 3 and so check this out. We're in a waltz, so 1 and 2 and 3 and a moment ago we were just thinking on the quarter note level. Well, if we start thinking of the eighth note level, you got a lot more opportunities to add filler. A lot more opportunities. So in Sweet Hour Prayer, this predominant rhythm we've got, you end up with a half note on beat 1, and then you don't have a melody note until you get over to beat 3 where there's this quarter note. So what can you do filler on here? I know I shouldn't use X's, but I'm using them anyway. You can do up to 4 fillers in most of those measures. And those can be bass, middle, or even sometimes melody string. Melody, pick, 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 melody, pick. Melody, pick, 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 melody, pick. Let's do that with just the right hand here. So watch. Melody string, pluck, 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 melody, pluck. Again, melody, pluck, 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 melody, pluck. Again, melody, pluck, 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 melody, pluck. And when I look at this music that we've got, some of you don't know where those fillers are. Some of you know by what I just showed you. What I used to do before I could really read rhythms is I would imagine James Taylor picking this on a guitar. And in my head, I could hear him going pluck, 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 pluck. And I would think, well, some of those need to be my melody and some of those need to be filler. And I just want to mark this on the first one. So there's an eighth note pair right here. Then we get an eighth note pair here, right next to it. And then we get another one here. There's 3 eighth note pairs in every measure. O, pluck, 2, pluck, 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 3, pluck, 4, pluck, 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 4, pluck, 5, pluck, 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 6.5, pluck, 7. That's what I need you to be able to do. And the pattern that gets you through so many of these measures, this pattern I'm going to show you, it gets you through all these measures, and it's this right here. You've got melody notes on beats 1 and 3, and then you've got all these ands everywhere. Let's play this rhythm. Just for fun, let's put a 7 on the melody string. And so we'll do this. 7, pluck, 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 7, pluck. 7, pluck, 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 7, pluck. Do that with your right hand. Ready, go. 7, pluck, 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 7, pluck, 7, pluck, 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 7, pluck, 7, pluck, 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 7, pluck. So now when you look back at this, we're going to use that same rhythm for this. Let's see how we do here. And you'll have one little pluck you can throw in after that pickup note at the beginning. 1 and ready, go. O, pluck, 2, pluck, 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 3, pluck, 4, pluck, 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 4, pluck, 5, pluck, 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 6.5, pluck, 7, pluck, 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 5, pluck, 4. What if you had a brush in there? I'm winging that, but I've had to practice winging it. Well, the first time I winged it, it didn't happen. You know? Ask me a question about this strange process. First, we did quarter notes, and then we did eighth notes. We could do sixteenths, but that won't really serve us right now.
So when you're playing, sorry, the dog's jumping on me. When you are playing a song that you play many times, do you play the same background or is it random?
It's not exactly random, but it's never the same. When I make sausage biscuits and gravy, sometimes we have a different sausage. It has a different fat content. Sometimes I have to add a little bit of extra fat to it, and I overdo it. Sometimes I just eyeball the flour. I get too much in there, too little. I think about that with this music I do. There's definitely ingredients that I'm going to have. And there's certain patterns of behavior I get used to. But I train myself to wing it. So this is the only part of this that's kind of the same every time. But I might add all kinds of stuff to that. You know, like we did with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Listen to this. Now watch this next move. I'm going to go over to the bass. I'm just going to move the melody over to the bass. Now I'm going to move the melody up high on the melody string. So I can play the melody in those three places. And I give myself a certain amount of freedom inside pretty strict boundaries. And this one music composer, I don't know if it was Tchaikovsky or who said this, the more limitations I place on myself, the more free I feel. And I do that with finger picking. Definitely, I'm not just doing whatever, but I allow myself a certain amount of freedom inside a certain small group of choices. You're right, Stravinsky. Thank you, Peter. Where's Peter? Where are you? Wave. Okay. So, and that, if you juxtapose that with freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, you could write a whole PhD paper on those two quotes. It's so weird. It's like society's history of people. I don't know. So
when I asked the question, maybe random was a little bit loose of a term. I guess what I was getting at is when you're plucking, say, middle string, bass string, is it always going to be kind of the same tonal content, or might you reverse that, or do you understand my question?
I do all kinds of stuff. I can say that.
Okay.
I think, yeah, you'd probably have to ask another way, but basically I'm exploring every time I play it, and when I get in front of an audience, there's a little bit of that going on, and that means every once in a while it's good, but most of the time it's just okay. But I'm willing to do it this way for that chance that every once in a while I'll do something great. That's the way I like to look at that. Let's talk about chords for a second, and then we got to get you out of here. These chords, a lot of beautiful finger picking can happen without chords. But for the most part, all the stuff we've done up to this point today can pretty much be the same. It's just we're going to add chords to the left hand. So now instead of hitting those open strings as filler, now you happen to be holding a chord down, you know? Let me hear everybody hold down an 0-1-3. 0-1-3. Get this down. So let's just pick quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now let's do eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and pluck, 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 pluck. Quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. Now do eighth notes. Double up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The right hand just, it didn't do anything new compared to before, but it's just now we're holding down a chord. Now we don't have enough time to cover all the chord stuff. That one sheet that says chord melody, I have a system of minimally attaching chords to a melody. It's like, what's the least I have to do for there to sound like there's a chord change? If you work through this page, it'll give you an idea of how I do that. This is for the simple stuff. When I want to get fancy, I go to these chord shapes you see here. And there's no way I can cover that in a minute and a half, and I wish I could. But let me show you something. On this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, these chord symbols are a big deal up here. They kind of tell me what the other two strings should be doing. So referencing one of those chord sheets, looking for possible chords, for my D, I know what the melody string is doing. That's not a question right now. But what are the bass and middle doing? I know that for these 4 notes right here, I got to have a D chord. And my melody is 0044. So we go to the D fingerboard on this chord chart. Where's my melody? Well, it goes from an O to a 4. And let me tell you something about this you can't forget, even though it's the last 30 seconds of class. You don't have to follow these L slant, extended slant shapes, but you do want to follow these circles I've put in place. So we know the melody string's going from an O to a 4. These circles on the other strings, you can choose any of those you want. We've been using these two as filler. Open bass, open middle. But you could use another couple. So I could actually have a 4 on the bass and a 3 on the middle. I wish we had more time for this, but when you look at that Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the drone version is pretty, but if you want to put chords with it, you're going to have to figure out, number one, what chord is active, a G, and where's my melody? It's at these 5s. So when you go up here, you know you need to look at the G fingerboard. You know your melody for that measure is a 5, and it's up to you to pick out circles on the other strings. So this is one approach to that. Maybe I went a little slow because I'm sleepy. But listen. Give me a simple melody. I will play it with a drone. I will add filler. I will put some brushes in there. And the second time through, I might start throwing some chords in there. Very simply, very minimally. And you really don't have to do much more than that. So thanks for taking this class. You've got the video. At least get down what's in this video, and you'll be ready for the next class called What to Do with Those Other 2 Handouts. I'm going to stop the class now, but if you got a question, I'll hang out. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Anybody got a question? Yes.